Hello everyone, my name is Diego Alves and I'm here to present the work entitled Corpus-based Syntactic Typological Methods for Dependency Parsing Improvement. I will start with an introduction describing the motivation and objectives of this research. Then I will detail the experiment design in terms of data, corpus-based typological strategies, dependency parsing experiments, and correlation measures. Afterwards, I will present the results, and in the end, I'll talk about the conclusions and perspectives for future work. Our main motivation is the fact that when typology is used for NLP improvement, researchers usually focus on typological information provided by databases such as WALS, and do not rely on quantitative typological strategies. Moreover, it's possible to notice that the vast majority of corpus-based typological research focus on specific linguistic phenomena. Therefore, our objective here is to propose an evaluation of different corpus-based typological methods in terms of correlation between language distances and dependency parsing scores when languages are combined in pairs in the training steps of deep learning models. For this aim, we decided to conduct our study using the Parallel Universal Dependence Corpora, PUD. It contains parallel corpora of 20 languages from 9 different linguistic families, and each corpus is composed of 1,000 sentences. In this table, you can see the list of different languages composing the PUD collection. The advantage of this choice is that we have homogeneity in terms of size, and as sentences are parallel, we can focus precisely on the syntactic differences, as the semantic context is the same for all languages. However, the number of languages is limited, most of them are Indo-European, and as most sentences were translated from English, we cannot exclude some translationese bias. In this study, we proposed 4 different corpus-based typological strategies: MarsaGram Linear, MarsaGram All Properties, Head and Dependent Position, and Verb and Object Position. For each method, the languages were represented by vectors. The features correspond to the syntactic patterns, and the values to the frequency of the patterns in the corpus. For the language comparison, we generated dissimilarity matrices by using both Euclidean and cosine distances, which allowed dendrograms to be generated using clustering analysis. Moreover, these approaches were compared with the state-of-the-art method based on syntactic features provided by Lang2Vec tool. Now I will briefly describe each corpus-based approach, starting with MarsaGram Linear. MarsaGram is a tool that identifies patterns from context-free grammars extracted from annotated datasets. In this case, we consider only the linear property, which can be described as such. Element A precedes element B in a subtree where the head is the element C, and it's represented by the tool as C precedes AB. For example, the pattern noun precedes that noun means that in the subtree ruled by a noun, the determiner precedes the noun, which is a nominal modifier. In the sentence, each map in the exhibition tells its own story, not all factual, we can observe this pattern. The determiner the precedes the noun in mod exhibition in a subtree ruled by the noun map. The second approach is the MarsaGram All Properties. In this case, we consider the linear patterns that were described in the previous slide, and also other properties provided by MarsaGram tool. Require, meaning that the presence of A requires the existence of B in the subtree. Unicity, if the element A occurs only once in the subtree. And exclude, where the presence of A excludes the presence of B in the subtree. As you can see in this table, most of the patterns extracted from the PUD corpora correspond to the exclude property. The third approach is the head and dependent position, which is based on the head directionality parameter. In this case, we extract left and right branching patterns. For example, in the sentence, These are not very popular due to the often remote and roadless locations. We can identify the left branch pattern where the adverb often, which is an adverbial modifier, precedes the head, which is the adjective remote. And in the sentence, the new spending is fueled by Clinton's large bank account, we can find the right branching pattern concerning the noun account, which is an oblique nominal, after the head, which is the verb fueled. And finally, the last corpus-based approach in this study concerns the verb and object positions. It is a subset of the patterns identified in the head-independent approach. In this case, we consider the patterns where the heads are verbs and the dependents are objects. The second part of this study concerned dependency parsing experiments. For this, we used UDFI tool, which is based on deep learning algorithms and uses multilingual BERT as language model. For the baseline, we trained monolingual models using PUD corpora. As the size of PUD is limited, we repeated each experiment 6 times using different random seeds to calculate standard deviation and evaluate results statistically. Then we associated languages in pairs at the training step and compared the LAS scores with the baseline. Afterwards, with the language distances provided by the similarity matrices and with the LAS values from the dependency parsing experiments, we were able to calculate both Pearson's and Spearman's correlations. We checked the number of languages where the correlation were strong or moderate. In our case, what we expected was negative values of correlation, as the shorter the distances between languages, the highest the delta was expected. Here are the results of the dependency parsing experiments. On the left side, we present the results of the baseline. As we can see, there is a huge discrepancy in terms of LAS values, Japanese and Romance languages with the highest scores. This is due to synthetic differences between the languages, the ones with a stricter word order having better scores. And it's also linked with the size of the language in multilingual words. On the right side, we can see the results of the language combination experiments. While languages such as Finnish, Russian, Swedish, Icelandic, and English presented positive deltas when combined with more than 14 of other PUD languages. In some cases, such as Hindi, Japanese, and Korean, these languages did not present an improvement. And for Korean, in most cases, a negative delta was observed. In terms of correlation, in this table, I present all the obtained results concerning all typological strategies compared to length to vec, using both Euclidean and cosine distances. What we can observe here is that the MarsaGram linear method, which is based on word order of specific elements in the same subtree, is the most efficient one, better than length to vec strategy. However, only for 10 out of 20 PUD languages, a moderate correlation was observed. In this slide, you can see the cluster analysis of the MarsaGram linear approach using cosine distances. It differs from the genealogical classification of languages, but we can observe some expected clustering, such as OV languages placed on the left side of the figure. Therefore, we can conclude that from the selected methods, MarsaGram linear using cosine distances is the one with the highest number of moderate correlations. However, only this strategy cannot explain all the LAS values obtained when languages were combined. Thus, as perspectives for future work, our aim is to increase the language set, as PUD is composed mostly of Indo-European languages, and another idea is to optimize the MarsaGram linear strategy by identifying the most relevant linear patterns. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me in this email address.